Lamb's Lab. So we'll start by just where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, my whole life. Haven't lived anywhere else except when I went off to college. So, been here in Hamilton, Ohio, my whole life.
And like what part of Hamilton?
Second Ward, over off of a lot of people from Hamilton to know, off of Hanover Street. It's actually my house that I was raised up in as a kid. Of course, you know, if you're from Hamilton, you kind of moved around here and there. I used to live across the tracks on 11th Street, lived on Central, Washington Street. So I lived in Hamilton for the most part of my life.
Okay. And who are you raised by?
My mother. My father was around here till about maybe about 8 or 9 years old. But don't get it wrong, he still was in my life. But my mother was a big part of my life of raising me.
Okay.
Big part.
And you have any siblings?
I have 3 older sisters, and I have a younger brother as well that also is from here that, you know, as well as play sports, did everything is also.
And how old are the sisters? Well, how much older?
The sisters are about 13, 14 years older.
Okay, yeah.
They were already teenagers when me and my brother was born, so they're a lot more mature than what we are. So they're about 13 to 14 years older. I think my oldest sister may be 15 years older than me. So
gotcha. And so it's basically you and your brother in the house at the same time?
Yeah. 2 years apart from each other. He was born probably like a year and a half, 2 years right after me. So yeah, just me and him lived in the house together, grew up together, played ball together. We kind of did everything together in a sense.
Okay. So what was it like growing up? You kind of answered that, just you did a lot of sports, a lot of activities and stuff?
A lot of activities, man. You know, when you lived in the second ward, you did, you know, football at the Catholic, you did baseball at the community center where everybody wanted to play baseball. Everybody played Pee Wee football at Little Blue. So, you know, we're just kind of staying active, keeping us out of trouble.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go next. You consider yourself a good kid growing up? Pretty good?
I did. I really did. I could say, as a kid, I definitely was a good kid growing up. I was that kid I didn't want to get in trouble because I was scared of my mom. So
right.
I will say, you know, I think that's why we played a lot of sports, just to stay out of trouble.
I got you. And were you a good student?
I was a good student. Middle school kind of threw me off a little bit, but I had to kind of get myself back on track. Yeah. I mean, if you're sure, you know, you start seeing different things, you start growing up, your mind start floating away where you should be focused on. But I had to try to get back on track with it once I got toward high school. But yeah,
I feel that. So did you like school?
School was cool, especially junior high school definitely was a big thing for me to learn different how to deal with different people, I guess, if you want to say that, considering where I had grew up from, going to Harrison Elementary, and then I went to George Washington, so it was definitely a different kind of diversity. So it was something to get used to. But once I, you know, adapted to it, school was cool. School was cool. You got to meet a lot of new people from different situations, different backgrounds, and I thought that was cool.
Okay. So you spoke just of your mom, and around here, your mom is like known in the community as like a motherly figure to you know many people, you know, over the years. So
correct.
What can you say about like her willingness, like to help people and stuff?
Man, it's her willingness to help people to this day. People still see her and say, "What's up, Mom?" My mom was always that person. She didn't mind you coming over to play the video games and hang out. But it was always one rule my mother had was if you come over on Saturday nights, you going to church on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some people didn't have that. So they were cool of coming over and going to church because my mom, she didn't look at anybody else's kid as, oh, that's just a kid. If you was at my house, you was considered a son, and that's kind of why, like, a lot of times me and my brother had so many different friends and stuff over, because she was that mother. She was that mother figure, because some of these, you know, some kids didn't have that. So my mom didn't mind, hey, get your butt in here, get you something to eat, and you know that's what good parents would do, you know.
Right.
And she was just one of those in the community, and
It's like that old school, you know,
Right.
form of, you know, parenting that sometimes you don't see nowadays.
you don't see it
And
nowadays.
maybe not as much even in that day, but
But
kept that up.
she kept that up, and you know, it was a few more parents as well, just like that. But I just remember my mom always. She didn't mind who the kid was. She didn't mind who his parents was. If they wanted to do something, she always was for it. You know, it was, you had people coming to our house sometime, and I wasn't even there. And that was just type of the mother she was.
Okay, that's cool. So, you was playing football or whatever. Did you play like when Little Blue was around? Were you a part of that?
Yeah. I played. First year, I wanted to play football, and we got sent to the wrong place at the time. We didn't. Me and my brother. He was 6. I think I was 7. We got sent to the wrong place, so we didn't play the 1 year. But then when we actually started playing football back in, my first year of football was back in 88. 88. I was 8 years old. And my brother played, and we had some really, really good mentors of coaching. It's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Right.
It's definitely because of those guys. So I started playing young.
Any of those mentors like stand out to you?
Definitely. Rest his soul, Coach Rick Wagers was definitely a big part. Can't forget about Herbie Benson. And most importantly, one of the most important ones that I had was Jim Boy. Not only did he coach me in football, but he was also my coach in baseball, a sport that, as you see, a lot of us really don't play anymore.
Right.
But we always those three guys off the top, like, was really, really big part of a lot of things that I do to this day. So.
Okay, so you go through, you know, Little Blue or whatever. You move into junior high. You said George Washington.
Correct.
And you know, how was what were you playing? Just basketball, football there?
I played football and basketball, but the way my age worked out, from 7th and 8th grade, I was still able to play Little Blue. And
Really?
yeah, so people used to always wonder, like, you know, why you still playing Little Blue? Well, I was young. I wasn't, you know, you had these guys in junior high that was like 13, 14 years old, but at the time when I was in 8th grade, I was only 12.
So you was playing middle school and Little Blue?
I just played Little Blue.
Oh, okay.
I played middle school when I got to 9th grade.
Okay.
But 7th and 8th grade, I played Little Blue. You know, I wasn't into Little Blue was just as tough as junior high at the time. I wasn't really focusing on the 7th and 8th grade thing, you know. My mindset was they only had like 8 games. Little Blue, you know, at the time we had about 15 games plus a Super Bowl, and the most important thing was at the end of the year, we got to take that team to Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
So, and that was something I cherished for a long time. So I just refused to play 7th and 8th grade football, but I did play 9th grade football at George Washington and became the starting quarterback. So,
Gotcha.
and I did play basketball 7th, 8th, and 9th at GW.
Right. So. Okay. So before we move into high school or whatever,
Okay.
everybody know you as Fufu.
Fufu.
So where did that nickname come from?
Oh, that comes from my mother. My mother was a preschool teacher at the time, and she was pregnant with me. I remember she had me, and I was a big baby. I was 10 pounds and 10 ounces. My mom was a diabetic, so I was a big baby. So when I came out, I had these big, like, I still have them, and it's kind of crazy. It's so hereditary because my kids have them. And I just had a granddaughter that's 4 months, and she looks just like that with these big old jaws. And, you know, the first thing they said, oh, he looks like the little bunny Fufu. Which, you know, back then it was a a known song, Little Bunny Foo Foo, hopping through the forest.
Okay.
So my mother proceeded to start calling me my little Foo Foo, and voila, it stuck with me. Yep. So that's how I got the name Foo Foo. And it's not spelled Foo, it's spelled Fufu.
That's one I didn't know. Didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, so you moved on to high school,
Correct.
Hamilton High. Obviously playing sports. What, if anything, were you excited about going to high school?
Yeah, I think more or less when I was thinking about high school anyway. High school was more of an experience because I looked at it like once you get through high school, you got to start looking to the next chapter of your life, which was college, and I definitely was going to go to college. So I was excited to go to high school. I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what to expect in high school. You had a lot of dudes that was older than you. You didn't know you didn't really know what to expect. But once I got in there and learned a little bit of things, it was fun. It was fun. It was definitely an experience playing sports. It was definitely an experience to see who was about playing the sport like they wanted to, or they just wanted to just be out there and playing around. So because in high school you couldn't have 1 foot in and have 1 foot out. Either you was with it or you wasn't. So it taught you how to be more or less I guess responsible, something like that. So I was excited for high school. I really was.
Okay. So a lot of people, know you for football or whatever.
Right.
Many don't know you're also a basketball player, fellow point guard, right? Or guard.
Yeah. I was a defensive specialist in high school. I didn't shoot the ball.
Right.
But you let me guard your best person on your team. That's what I wanted to do in high school.
That's going to be my next question. Like, what do you like about basketball?
See, at the time in high school, I still had that football mentality. So me playing basketball was just more of a I looked at it like I'm working on my skills of playing defensive back. I knew I wasn't going to college to play basketball. I knew I wasn't going to college to play basketball. I knew I was going to college to play football, but I still wanted to participate in the sport. I hadn't played it, and I also had that mother. She wasn't about to let me quit my senior year.
Right.
So I stuck it out, and at the time, Coach Allen, gave me an opportunity, and I just wanted to I would shoot here and there, but my main key component in basketball at the time, my senior year, was play defense, and that's what I did.
And that was Coach Allen's first team?
That was his first. That was his first team.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what I thought.
That was his first team.
Okay. Okay, so football, your primary sport, and you was a defensive back. You said
Defensive
primarily.
back. Yep.
Okay. And how many years did you play on the varsity?
I got a letter for 3 years. Okay. I was able to play a little varsity. Actually, I started a few games my sophomore year, so I was able to get on the field for a little bit as a sophomore, and then my junior and senior year, I was a starter. So,
yeah. And what was your game like, or maybe compared to in this day?
In this day and age, let me see, because I say that because now in this day and age, it's a little bit different.
Well, in any age then.
At the time when I was playing back then, the best corner I used to look at was Deion Sanders. If it wasn't Deion, then I ain't gonna say I was fast like Deion, but I just wanted to break on the ball and things like that. But I used to always want to hit people like Ronnie Lott. Like a lot of people don't realize that Ronnie Lott was my guy. But also although he played safety, I just want to hit people like that, which I did kind of transfer my position from high school to college. So when I went to college, I did play safety a little bit. So a lot of old school players. Some people might know. Yeah. You should. Yeah, some people might not.
And so your last year, you was on a 10-0 team.
Yeah.
GMC champion.
97. 20. It's been we just had our thing this past week.
Oh yeah.
So it was 25. We just had our thing this past Friday. So it was 25 years. Okay. It's been 25 years, and it was cool to go there this past week and see some of the old guys. Some of us look like we still can play, and some of us look like we look like
25 years.
We look like 25 years.
Okay. Yeah, 10-0.
Yep.
Was that how long? How many? Was that maybe the first 10-0 season, or
that was the first
one?
That was the first one. We went 10-0 and ended up losing in the playoffs to Saint X. That was so long ago, man. It was out at King's Mill. They don't even got that field out there anymore. So
Right.
that just.
I think I was at that game.
Yep. That was, the whole community was for us back then.
Mhm.
I mean, that's when Hamilton really started. Oh, we going to the football game. We going. That was like one of the best times. I think. No, I ain't gonna say I think. I know that was like one of the best times in my lives of being raised in Hamilton and being from Hamilton, because everywhere you went and everything you did with that particular team, we was 10-0, we was winning. I mean, the whole city was just with you. It didn't matter where you went. I could have went to McDonald's and they knew you played football. It was like, oh, we'll take care of you. And it was just, it was a good time back then. 97? 97.
Wow.
Forever.
So, where'd you end up going to college at?
I went to Wilmington College. At the time, like, situation with my grades, things like that. I was trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
Couple schools, I could have went Division I. Couple schools was like, hey, you can come on and walk on, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to play football and I wanted to get it over with. So I had a guy who was recruiting me crazy from Wilmington College, and I was kind of skeptical about it, but I think that was probably one of the best decisions that I made. It wasn't a big school. It was out in the middle of nowhere. Once again, you had to adapt to some adversity, and that was like one of the biggest things that, like, I really liked about Wilmington. Like, it was different, totally different. And then I was able to meet a lot of different people that was kind of in the same position that I was from different cities. So that kind of just bound a brotherhood for us to this day. Like, I'm still cool with a lot of my boys from Wilmington right now to this day. I mean, hell, some of them closer to some of them than I am around here. So.
Yeah. You said you switched to safety.
Yeah.
And was there a adjustment or anything in college?
Well, my freshman year I went in, I was a corner. I felt like anybody should. I'm better than that person. I'm better than this person. But I had to understand my dues as well. There were some guys that were seniors ahead of me, but I still felt like, and that's what you're supposed to have, is confidence. Like, I don't care what he is, I'm better. So I played a little bit my freshman year. I did play in college, not more than I wanted to. So the second year, which my sophomore year, we went into the spring practice, and we had a few people that had graduated from safety. There was another guy that came in with my class. He was a free safety at the time. He was like what we call a freak of nature. He was 6'2", 215 pounds, and he played free safety. So I came in and I was playing corner, and I was like, I could play strong safety. And the coach was like, "Are you serious? You think?" I said, "I know I could play strong safety." So the next thing you know, I'm playing strong safety my sophomore year, and was honorable mention D3 All-American.
Okay.
So it was an easy adjustment. It just took of course practice. But once I was able to get it, I loved it. It was a different adjustment for me, because I just went from playing corner to just playing my position to playing safety, to where I have to make calls for the defense and make sure people in the right spot. So it was like almost I was a coach on the field. I think my coaching mindset probably started, I think, when I moved to the strong safety position, because I had to know where everybody's supposed to be. So
okay.
So it wasn't that big of adjustment. It was just about just doing extra stuff that you usually don't have to do. That was the only adjustment I think I had to worry about.
Right. Okay. Wilmington College. Gotcha.
The Quakers.
So you mentioned growing up with your brother,
right?
And he would eventually, become a high major college football player.
Right.
What role do you think you played in him getting there?
Make sure he had them grades. I mean, my brother seen letters. When I was coming through school, I had shoeboxes and shoeboxes of letters, and I used to always tell him, like, these don't mean nothing. Everybody can send you a letter, but you don't got those grades, And I think he watched me from when I was coming up through high school, and then when he came up through high school, a lot of people at Hamilton High at the time, they try to compare him to me. Even his sophomore year, he came in and they put him at the position that I had just graduated from. And it was like, I had to tell him, like, hey, you need to tell them you your own person. You ain't my little brother. You your own person. So with him, it was more or less just staying focused and doing the right stuff, getting the grades so you can get that Division I scholarship to where our mom don't got to pay for nothing. And so that was actually, I think, one time in his life he actually paid attention. So he did what he's supposed to do, and he was fortunate enough. He got a Division I scholarship to the University of Pitt,
Right.
and that was exactly the point, And he played for Pitt, and he played with a lot of good football players, and it was exciting just to even go up there and see him play in a big old, at the time, Heinz Field, and being on that type of facilities, and they practice at the same place the Pittsburgh Steelers practice at, to hear the stories he used to tell me, like. So he definitely had a big experience of different things, but I also use his experience to kind of see some things as well, like go to some of his games where they played at Notre Dame, and they played out in Arizona. So it was he definitely paid attention to that, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of mentioned, like, when you started playing safety, you kind of got that coaching mindset in you.
Yeah.
So I know you did some, just coaching right after school, whatever, but you decided to, create your own organization.
Right.
And why did you do that?
Well, when I was at the other Pee Wee organization, Little Blue, there was some, there were just some things I was seeing I didn't like. I had never really been too much of a part of the situation until I came back home from college. And like you said, when I came home from college, I was busy coaching junior high school and high school as well. So when I did decide to start coaching the kids, it was just things within the organization that I was looking at that, man, the only way this is going to keep, surviving, or this the only way it's going to keep mentally getting these kids tougher is, like, I'm probably going to have to separate myself, because we had, everybody had their own way of doing things. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes some people might think it's good. Some people might think it's bad. But I think with me, it was just more I was looking out for the whole situation of the community. I just didn't like some of the things that was going on.
Right.
And not only going on, but I felt like at the time, it was kind of affecting the community of where I said from the beginning, where I grew up from.
Right.
And to go out there and see people from school that I went with, I went to high school with, or I grew up with from playing Pee Wee football, and, it was just one of those, like, I can't let their kids go through this. So I kind of ended up having that organization, then going to another organization, and it was kind of like the same little scenario. I was doing the best I can to make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to, but then it was just like, it was kind of like the same scenario. So I kind of just stepped away and said, I feel like if I'm going to have issues and problems, I've been doing this forever, I might as well just start my own.
Right.
And that's kind of where I went from there. I started the Saints.
Okay, so the Hamilton Saints,
Okay.
tell me about that program. Like, what are the principles and values of the Hamilton Saints?
Principles of character, man. It's always have to be character. It's not about, I always look at the bigger picture of character. Character, that word, it goes a long way. People always like, what's, values and everything. My thing is character, because character also states, like, what type of person you are. Are you doing the right things on and off the field? That's my biggest thing. On and off the field. When nobody's paying attention, are you doing the right thing?
Right.
And a lot of these kids is fortunate where we grew up. Like, I grew up with a good mother. Some of these kids, they grow up and who knows? Some of these kids, that's their outlet is to go to football. So I try to install, like, the values of things. I try to install, like, letting these kids know, like, there is something better outside of this place than just football and things like that. Like, I always want kids to understand that it's just isn't about football. I want them to learn life values, life lessons.
Yep.
I I always said because when I played football, it kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing of having the Saints and having the coaches that I have around them is they've been there, they've done that. And you have guys that's within the program as coaches that's, hey, they can look at a kid and tell them, look, I know what jail looks like. I got in trouble when I was a kid. I don't want to see the same thing for you. So that's why I think it's important that you have guys that can relate to some of these younger kids, because like I said, that's what our mentors did for us, And some of these kids, they don't have father figures or mother figures. I mean, we don't know their situations, but at that particular time when they come to practice from 6 to 8, you want to make them kids feel special.
Gotcha. So, diving deeper into the Saints and football, what kind of a coach are you philosophy-wise? Offensively, defensively?
Well, right now I'm offense, but I've been doing it so long, man. A lot of my old players will tell you that I got soft. And I probably have, but that comes with age.
Yeah.
And I can't scream and yell and do the things I used to. I think more with the type of coach that I am, I just deserves respect. I mean, demand respect. Should I put it like that? I demand respect. It's not about I want to be mean to you. Like I tell them, if I'm not saying nothing to you, that's when you should be like, oh man, coach he ain't paying me no attention. But I try to say things to everyone. So I more or less, I always, like I said, I'm a defensive coach and I play defense, but I also coach the offense because my mindset on offense now is I try to use my mindset on offense to say, hey, if this defense is running this, how would you attack that? So that's kind of like where, I kind of unfell back a little bit and I kind of run the offense majority of the time. So, defense to me has always been a easy kind of, in a sense. You just, hey, you got to, put the kids in the right position. And then if you got a couple kids that hey, get to the ball and make a tackle, that's not as hard as, getting an offense together and trying to call up plays and having kids that some kids may learn faster than others. You have to, you get those type of things that happen in football. So with me on offense is, you got to kind of break things down for a lot of kids. Like this year, this is probably like the first year in 15, 16 years as a coach that I've ever had players use wristbands. But I have to have those players use those type of things because, like I said, some kids, they learn faster than others. But you always want to try to put each kid on the same level and never feel like you have to single one kid out like, oh, you're not learning as fast, so you can't play this position. Like, no. Right. It takes time, just like anything else, especially when you're dealing with younger kids. As they get older, they start, respecting a lot more things that you do as a coach. So that's what I try to do, just make it simplified.
Yeah. Okay. And you guys have, had a lot of, success winning.
Right.
How many, like, if you can recall, like, championships or high finishes have you guys had in this run?
Well, the team that I have now with the Saints, the team that I have now, they're fourth graders. These boys, man, they all won 3 straight championships. We haven't lost in our league in 4 years. So, the process with them is that I'm telling them it's gonna get tougher and tougher. Like this year already, we've had 2 games where we only won 6-0. Right. But as a coach, I understand that. Everybody's going to give you their best shot. It don't matter what team it is, what's their record. They're going to give you their best shot. Also had a team. My first year ever coaching Pee Wee kids at Little Blue. We had a team, and that team won 6 straight championships.
Every year they was playing, basically.
Yeah, every year. And then the other team that I was coaching, which is they're in high school. I think they're sophomores in high school right now. That was a great team too, but it was one of those situations where we just could never get over the hump. We lost 5 championships. So you go from winning 6, then you go from losing 5, and now you're winning. Now you're at 3. Yeah. So it's sometimes it balances itself out. Like I could have looked at it like those 6 years, like, oh yeah, this is great. And then the next 5 years was like, man, we just can't win a super. We just can't win a championship. But those boys learned life lessons. They was there every year. And it wasn't like we was losing bad. That team competed every championship. So it's been a lot of championships, man.
Yes, sir.
Not even here, just also out of town as well. So
Right.
Tennessee and things like that. So
Okay. So your program, obviously, you feed into the Hamilton City School District majority.
majority.
How do you feel about like Hamilton athletics currently, specifically football, but pretty much the state of
in a whole? It's getting better. I will say over the years it wasn't the greatest, and that's just the truth. Like, and I think anybody here or anybody from Hamilton would tell you that. Like, it's always had its sides and its good sides. And I know at one particular, I can't put what year it was, but for me as a person being from Hamilton, I was kind of done with Hamilton City Schools athletics. And I was done because I just felt like they wasn't about the things that we grew up on, from top to bottom. I didn't feel that. And I had my situations even with my program of like having little problems with situations of trying to do things for the kids that, somehow, some way, it would get shot down because of a situation which made no sense to me at the time. So I will say where it is now, it's definitely becoming a little bit better. Do I still feel like it needs work? Yeah, I sure do. I feel like there's still some things that needs to be addressed, and I still feel like there's some things that need to be changed. But who am I? I'm one person, but I also understand what things are supposed to be like, being from here, and being a part of this community. I mean, I know what some of these community people want, and I think it's in a better state right now, but it still needs some work, if I can put it like that.
Understood. Okay, so career-wise, you became a barber. How long have you been a barber?
Been a barber for now 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. Didn't always want to be a barber, but here we go.
What went into the decision, like, I'm going to go ahead and do this and become a barber?
Well, I was working at a charter school down in Cincinnati for about 3 years. This was working at a charter school called Pace High School. At the time, they were making budget cuts, and during that time, I think it was 2008, 2009. They were making budget cuts and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed, and it really taught me a lot of things dealing with those type of kids. At a charter school, it really showed you another outlook on a lot of things. So excuse me. After that, when I was laid off because of the budget cuts, I just was kind of sitting around, and I just needed something to do. And one of my guys was like, man, you're real good with your hands. Why don't you go to barber school? And I'm like, I ain't going to barber school. Well, at that particular time, all I had to do was sign up, and barber school was free. So I was like, you know what? It's worth a try. I felt like if I didn't do something, I was going to start doing things that I shouldn't have been doing to try to earn money or something like that. So you know what? I'm going to go to barber school. And here we go. I'm in the place that I am now. Like, I'm so much more comfortable. I have my own business now. So, it's like sometimes in life it just takes you down different roads or career paths. You might say you want to do this your whole life, and then when it comes to it, like I said, I started that at 30 years old. So here we are, like 11 years later, and I'm still doing it. So.
And just what's some things you like about being a barber?
It's almost like being a counselor? It's like a counselor, it's the good things about being a barber is you get to know people, you get to meet, people with all type of different situations. You get to You know, like I like it. I like being a barber. It's not it's not a job where it's gonna be the same thing every single day. You know, you're gonna have a different person in your chair. You're gonna have a different conversation in your chair. You know, you're gonna get to learn some things maybe you didn't know about. You know what I'm saying, from different people. So I think being a barber it's fun. It ain't no 9-to-5 job where you kind of sitting at the desk and you just kind of like, man, I'm tired. Like it's,
Right.
you know, I can sit here and I can cut hair all day and I can look at my clock and the next thing I know, I'm like, man, it's 5 o'clock. So it's like, as a barber, it's just more of a kind of what I do anyway. I'm dealing with football and anything and dealing with parents. But here it's just more of a sanctuary where it's just kind of more relaxed and you kind of hear other people's problems. And, you know, sometimes you might have to vent to other people and, you know, they give you their perspective. So I like that, man. For real.
So last question here. NFL just started.
Right.
Who are your contenders? Who you got going all the way early?
Well, I'm going to be biased, man, but I can't say who's going to go all the way. But my particular team is the Philadelphia Eagles. But right now, if I can't choose the Eagles, Buffalo pretty tough right now.
Okay.
Buffalo. I can't say Cincinnati. Ooh-wee. But Buffalo is pretty tough right now. They look pretty tough, and you never can count out them damn Chiefs either. That's in the AFC. In the NFC, like I said, I'm biased because I'm an Eagles fan. But
so why don't you just give me right now who's going to play in the Super Bowl?
Philadelphia,
Biased or not?
Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills.
Philadelphia versus Buffalo.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's
but,
a bold one.
You know, and I've seen a prediction that said that too, which was crazy.
Really?
Somebody had a prediction that the Bills was going to play the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and the Bills. Somebody said the Bills was going to win. Somebody else said the Eagles was going to win. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm biased, but I'm a Philly fan, bro.
If it happens, I'm going to play this part again.
Do it. Please do it. Please do it.
All right, man.
I appreciate you, dog.
Wallace Morris, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
Always, brother. Anytime you need me. And we're going to get you on that field, dog.
Yeah.